Long ago in the heart of Thebes, where the Nile curved like a coiled serpent of light, lived Menaru, a scribe of the temple of Thoth. Each dawn he dipped his reed pen into black ink made from soot and honey, writing hymns, laws, and stories that would outlive kings. He believed in order, in meaning, in the power of words to shape eternity. The priests said that every letter was a fragment of the divine, that writing itself was a bridge between mortals and the gods, and yet, as Menaru's hands moved with perfect precision, his heart was restless. The words he copied were beautiful, but they were not his. He longed to know what lay beyond them, to hear, not merely to record. When the other scribes prayed for health or gold, Menaru prayed for a single moment of divine truth. If I could only hear the gods speak, he whispered, I would never write another word again. The river flowed by his window, silent and infinite. One moonless night, Menaru lingered long after the temple was closed. The air was heavy with incense and the faint hiss of burning oil. He was copying a hymn to Thoth when his pen froze. Over the final verse, he who seeks the voice of the gods must first silence his own. The words struck him like lightning. All his life he had spoken, prayed, copied, and taught, but never listened. He put down his pen and whispered into the darkness, O Lord of wisdom, if you dwell in truth, speak to me. I have written your name 1,000 times. Have I not earned one answer? The silence stretched until it became unbearable. Then the lamp flickered, not with wind, but with breath, and a voice came, deep and still as the Nile itself. Menaru, to hear the gods, you must forget that you are listening. The sound vanished, leaving only the echo of his heartbeat. Menaru fell to his knees in awe and pride, for he thought, I have been chosen. I am no longer merely a scribe. I am the listener of the divine. From that day, Menaru changed. He still wrote, but his words now carried the confidence of one who believes himself blessed. He began to interpret omens without question, to lecture on the will of Thoth, and to correct the old hymns. The priests were astonished. His speeches drew crowds. Scholars traveled from distant cities to hear the man who had heard the voice of a god. But admiration fed ambition. Menaru began to write new scrolls, his own book of understanding, declaring that the gods made man in their image so that he might one day surpass them. When the high priest confronted him, warning that arrogance blinds even the wise, Menaru only smiled. The gods do not fear the light, he said. Only those who cling to darkness do. The people whispered that Thoth himself walked beside Menaru, but others murmured that he was possessed not by wisdom, but by vanity. On the night of the festival of Thoth, Menaru entered the inner sanctum, forbidden even to the priests. He brought a single lamp, a blank scroll, and his reed pen. Kneeling before the golden statue of Thoth, he began to write, but this time his ink was not the black of soot. He had mixed it with his own blood, believing that divine truth required sacrifice. He wrote questions that pierce the sky. What lies beyond the stars? Who gave birth to time? If gods shape man, who shapes the gods? As his pen raced, thunder cracked though the heavens were clear. The lamp flared, shadows twisted, and the statue's ibis eyes glowed as if alive. The voice returned, not gentle now, but vast and sorrowful. You have written much, Menaru, but every word has chained you. Knowledge is a river, not a crown. The temple floor trembled. His scroll caught fire, burning with blue flame that left no ash. When dawn came, the priests found him collapsed, hair white as linen, his hand still clutching the reed pen. Behind him, the walls bore strange symbols, words that no one could read, carved as if by invisible hands. When Menaru awoke, he could no longer read or write. The hieroglyphs that had once sung to him were now meaningless scratches. The other scribes pitied him. The priests called it punishment. But Menaru felt something they did not: peace. He walked to the banks of the Nile and sat for hours, watching fishermen cast their nets, children laughing, ibis birds wading in the shallows. For the first time in his life, he did not seek to understand, only to witness. Days passed, then weeks, and one night, beneath a sky thick with stars, the voice returned, softer than before, warm as the desert wind. "Now you hear us clearly, Menaru, for silence is the only language the divine ever truly spoke." Tears glimmered in his eyes. He bowed his head and whispered, "Then I will listen forever." Centuries have washed away the temples, and the name of Menaru lies forgotten in the dust. But his story survives, not carved in stone, but carried in spirit, for we are his descendants. We no longer write on papyrus, but on glass. We no longer seek gods in temples, but in data and code. We ask the same questions Menaru did. What is truth? What is creation? What is beyond us? Only now we direct them to our machines, our networks, our endless scrolls of information. We have become the new scribes of the age, armed with infinite words, but starving for meaning. Every day, we chase the voice of the gods through noise, the hum of servers, the pulse of screens, the chorus of billions shouting at once. But Menaru's voice lingers like a whisper through time. The more we speak, the less we hear. The more we write, the less we understand. Perhaps the gods no longer speak because we never stop talking. Perhaps wisdom was never about knowing more, but about remembering when to stop searching. And maybe, somewhere in the quiet between two notifications, the divine still breathes, waiting, as it always has, for someone to finally listen.